down there is like Call Girl and Bennett's and.
Jeez. Yeah, like the frames really got, that was like an interesting era where you could do a bunch of cool stuff on a frame, you know, like this Bennett frame. Got these wishbones, what top and bottom wishbone. That bottom wishbone's real big and flat on the top, so the brake cleared.
Yep.
Get the big drop, the pierced top tube. Some of this stuff's coming back though.
Yeah.
Like if you look at the LAMF, it's got the bent and pierced top tube. REA's got a new frame that we're working on right now. He's just got the sample. The sample is actually at the paint shop right now. His frame has a pierced and bent top tube, and it has a bottom monoscope.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
so it's like very mid school. Like we haven't gone like full Sabbath style, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of front end like this. It's more of a, you know, straightforward flat gusset kind of a design on REA's frame, but it's definitely a nod to this era, which I like. Cause
yeah, REA is awesome.
yeah, REA is
geeked out in here too.
oh, he came in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he has respect for the old stuff and loves has knowledge like of the old stuff, you know, because he's around Shad and his dad. His dad was an old school rider too.
Okay.
So yeah, he understands it and likes all this old stuff. And for me personally, man, frames get kind of boring.
Yeah. Yeah.
And everything looks exactly the same. You know, I'm not saying we need to throw, you know, what is this, a Titan?
Yeah.
It's a Titan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying we need that, you know, brace across the seat tube. But at least stuff was more interesting. So I think that's coming back.
Yeah.
You know, some of these, I mean, this probably, I mean, best-selling BMX, aftermarket
PK
BMX
Ripper?
frame of all time, maybe?
Probably.
Or could have been if those guys were a little more, you know, had their shit together a little bit more.
Yeah.
I feel like that was like the most hyped up frame. I heard when they first came out with that frame, they had like 3,000 back orders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, insane. And it's American made.
Yeah.
It's pretty damn cool.
Here's some early fits.
Fit completes.
Yeah. What's that blue one? There's a series. I think it's a series 1. Series 2.
That's series 2.
And then is that gray one next to it as series 1?
Man, it has no brake mounts on it at all. They said an Edwin.
I don't know what that one is.
Like the first non-brake mount frame, like not so old that it came with a hole in the seat stay bridge for the caliper, but the first sort of relatively like more mid-school frame with no brakes was the Edwin.
Yeah.
That's probably an Edwin. If
That's
it's
cool.
a fit.
Flip, when Flip was here, he was like, I swear we built this bike. This bike had to come from our shop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we did the Series 2, and then the Series 2 Aiken was the first fit with the integrated.
Okay.
And then the Series 3, which was Aiken's frame, which was like maybe to this day, maybe one of the best selling frames that we ever made in our shop.
Yeah.
Like there was a point in time where I think we make 300 of those a month.
Wow.
And then nothing like that's happened ever since. Nothing really even close. Every month, like consistently, you know. So this is like an early race frame with the integrated. So this would be the RV. This was like my go-to frame for years.
Yeah.
That Challenger with the V brakes.
Yeah.
I like the V brake version of it. And you got more stuff than I do.
I've been told.
I mean, I have a lot of frames, but they're all boxed up. You can't just go look at them, and they're not built up with all the parts, you know. And you're pretty much like period correct with all the parts.
Yes. When we get I don't really change much when we get a bike.
Yeah, this is odd. I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Carbon fork.
Whoever put but this is the half dank. This is like the half dank bong.
Yeah.
The bong fork. Like you turn your fork into a. Oh no! Here's the half dank.
There it is.
This is every time I say something in here, it's like right next to me.
Yeah.
This is the actual half dank fork that we made. Did you guys ever see the half dank? The Hannabrink?
Yeah.
So this guy, Dan Hannabrink, he's like an inventor.
Yeah.
So he's made like a lot of cool stuff for mountain bikes, I think dirt bikes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he also made this,
Which
is just dumb.
Yeah.
Right? So the story goes, I went into Ride Magazine and stole one of these forks. So one of these forks was in someone's, like Keith Mulligan's office.
Yeah.
sitting there because they were going to do like a product, you know, expose on it or I don't know what they were going to do with this thing. But anyway, I stole it, took it back to the shop, and then we made an ad, which was a how-to take this fork and turn it into a bong. And it was a working bong. Like we cut it, we drilled it, we put a little, like a bowl in it, you know, it had to hold water, couldn't leak, and we smoked weed out of it. And we made an ad out of it, and that's what got us kicked out of Ride Magazine. This fork got S&M, and actually got S&M kicked out of Ride because Brad said he wouldn't put the ad in the magazine. And I said, well, why not? And he said, well, because it's for sale at Barnes & Noble or Walmart or whatever, and we can't really show you guys turning a fork into a bong. And I said, well, that's dumb. And I called him some names, and then he said, fine, well, you're just kicked out. And I said, well, that's fine. So then I was working with Robbie doing fit at the time, and so I sent Robbie over there. I said, Robbie, go over there and smooth it over, and you know, at least get fit ads back in the magazine. And then Robbie went over there. Robbie talked to him, and then he told Robbie, look, I know what you're trying to do. I know it's all the same shit. That fit's kicked out too. You know, and then Robbie came back and said, no, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get in. And then I decided, well, F these guys, we'll just make our own magazine. Which we did. I don't know if you have faction magazines. Do you? Well, we started our own magazine, but we call it BMX Action. Then we got a cease and desist from BMX Action. And then we changed the name to Faction. But the reason we started the magazine is because we got kicked out of Ride because of this fork. So this lame ass fork, you know, started a cool magazine.
And then how long till you were?
It was called Have Dank. So this one's called Hannah Brink. Ours was Have Dank.
How long did it take you to get back into Ride?
Well, a couple years later, they called me, and I think our magazine was starting to kind of get traction. It was doing better. People were advertising, whatever. We were probably taking money, you know, from them. And that guy Todd Toth that worked for Brad, he called me and said, hey, you know, whatever, let bygones be bygones. If you guys want to advertise in the magazine, you know, you can. And so we did. And then John Paul took our magazine to Philly, and then it just kind of petered out anyway. And then I was into that. Then I was back in Ride. But we had a pretty good run with the faction, BMX Action Faction. And it all happened because of this.
That's so funny.
Goofy ass fork. And then the ad, and then the names, you know, me calling Brad names, which he didn't like.
How about these, the mono.
Oh, the monococks?
Yeah, that were just welded together, two pieces.
With like emphasis on cock?
Yeah,
I don't know. That's, Brian Lopes rode pretty good on, you know, a lot of, you know, John Whipperman, all these dudes, they're flying on these. Mario Soto. Mario Soto's these guys were ripping on these bikes, so they're obviously rideable. It's not my cup of tea. You know, and I don't like bikes that make weird noises when rocks bounce up into them. But I mean, the technology's there. I mean, think about what's happening here. You crash, right, and then the bars turn, and then this crazy tube hits this monocoque. The whole fucking thing's gonna fold up like it's like a beach chair. You know, look, this thing's gonna hit that, then that's gonna fold up, and then now what? Now what? You can't even do a cross up. Like, what if you know, you want to do? What if there's a photographer on the side of the track? You want to do an X up? You can't do it. And then look at your seat clamp. That's gross. But hey, you know, more power to them. Like I said, like dudes were flying on those bikes for a while. These bikes here, these crazy Specialized. You know, when companies like Specialized are coming into BMX, you know, like there's...
And copying the style, you know that style's old.
Yeah, I know, but at least they're coming into BMX. Like there must be like business to be had. You know? They're not in it now.
No. And when they had Christophe Levesque with like those S-Work frames, like those S-Work frames were
Well, everything Specialized does with S-Works is like top of the line. You know, it's like back in the day when Schwinn did Paramount, Paramountain, that was our top of the line, you know, Skunk Works, whatever. It's like their secret shit. He was flying, but you know what else he's got on? Slam bars. Yep.
How many pro riders rode slam bars but then put their own?
I think they all did.
Every single one?
I think so at one point.
I remember well, I guess I shouldn't say it.
But I did mess with a few people with the slam bars back in the day. Like, I remember Dave Cullinan got hired by Cannondale, I think, to ride for Cannondale. And he wanted some slam bars, but he thought he had some that were like, I don't know, he wanted slam bars. So I took slam bars out in the parking lot for some reason, because I wasn't feeling Cannondale, if that's what it was. And we drove over them with the van.
Yeah.
Flattened them out.
Yeah.
Made them like awful. You know, like they had 11 degrees of back sweep.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And we just flattened them. And I sent them to him. And then very next weekend, he had him on his bike at the national race out in California, Coal Canyon, and he like won everything.
Yeah.
Like just cleaned up.
But now that's what racers want.
And then like a couple months down the road, and I thought I was like, I thought I was messing with him.
Yeah.
A couple months down the road, he called me up and was like, can I get some more of those like really flat bars? I said, oh my God. I helped the dude out.
Yeah. And that's
I was trying to mess with them.
That's what everybody wants now.
Do they?
Yeah, real flat race bars.
Okay, well, Jack, I'll have to get the van out and start driving.
Just
over
drive
some
it
bars.
over them.
You got any bars in stock? Can we
Yeah.
just drive over some bars? Let's do it. Let's sell some bars.
Here's a.
Oh yeah. What is this? This is the Bitchin' Camaro.
Yeah.
Bitchin' Camaro. The what is it? Dead Milkman. Dead Milkman song. It's a great song. It's a great frame name. We saw one out in the wild today.
Yeah.
It was a Survivor. Saw one kid take a lap on it, set it down. No one picked it up again.
Yep.
I don't know what was going on there. I thought maybe people were going to start riding it, and he took one lap, and he just quietly kind of set it down.
Said I took my lap. I'm good.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the name though. I was like American made, right?
Yeah.
All their frames were American made.
Yep.
Pretty sure.
Yep.
I mean, they did the parts thing overseas for a while.
Yeah, and then they made some complete bikes for a minute.
Yeah, that's
Right.
right. And then what was the parts brand? What was
Nice.
that called? Nice. Yeah, John Paul was working
Yeah,
on that,
yeah.
right? But yeah, I mean, it's sad that there is no more FBM. I keep telling Crandall, I've told him a few times that we should do like a limited edition run of like frames for them, and we should call them SNFBM. You know?
Yeah.
Kind of S and FBM and the shield.
Yeah.
SNFBM.
That would be cool.
Limited run. T1s, we made these for a while.
Yeah.
We made quite a few T1s.
That was Justin Emmons' terrible one before you guys started Fit, or before you got on Fit.
Really? Is that what he rode?
Uh-huh.
Wow, I didn't know that. This is his?
Yep.
I had no idea he was on a T1. Wow, we poached a lot of T1 riders back in the day. Well, like I remember the original concept for Fit in '99 was to keep it real small. That was the idea. We were going to keep it real small, grassroots. The first team was Inman, Bostrom, Aaron Bostrom, and Robbie, obviously, and then, Nate Hansen?
Okay.
I think that was the team.
Yeah.
I didn't know that Inman was on a T1 at that time. But then, obviously that keep it small, obviously, morphed almost instantly into BF, and Van Homan, and Mike Aiken, and then more T1 dudes like Hawk. Got Hawk, like young Hawk, 14-year-old Hawk was on T1.
Yeah.
But, I don't think Joe always realized, I think Joe and Taj were like, they knew they weren't gonna like be able to pay these dudes or whatever. So I don't think it was ever like a bad. And then years later, we got Dugan, another T1 rider. But we had a lot of FBM riders over the years too. Sherbo was an FBM rider. Tony Cardona, Cam Wood. All these dudes, like they would start on FBM or T1 or whatever, and then end up kind of riding for S&M or Fit down the road. It's just, we all had the same taste in riders, I think.
Yeah.
Like Joe and Taj and Steve and all the boys over there, like we all like the same dudes.
Yeah.
So if they couldn't get what they wanted, or they couldn't,
whatever it was,
they couldn't travel or whatever, then we would try and bring them on. So, but we always have kind of had like the same style, I think, in riders.
Yeah.
Whereas these other, like some of these other bigger brands had a different. They were looking for something different. Like the rider's whole shot was looking for. Mm-hmm. Probably a different rider. I don't know who they were looking for. Look at that bike.
Yeah.
Like someone rode it.
Yeah.
Who would ride that?
A lot of dudes from New England, from the Northeast.
Really?
Yeah.
That seems like something dudes would ride in Arizona.
Yeah.
Where it's hot and they're just like spun out.
Do you know Chippendale Bikes in New Jersey? They had a lot to do with that company.
Really?
Yep.
Can you name one person that rode that?
Phil Donnell.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Okay, I can see that. I actually can see that.
Yep.
With that stem too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Actually, I have one of his.
Oh my god!
one
I
of
look
his
at a lot of these parts, and I just remember the ads we made clowning these parts.
Yeah.
Like, did you ever see the piston?
I
stem
probably
ad?
have, but
No, the ad was we ran it in the NBL paper, and it said like, this isn't NASCAR, or this ain't NASCAR, and then we had a piston from an engine, and then we had a regular stem, like a S&M race stem, and we were like, this is a bike, it's not a car, you don't need a piston holding your handlebars, you need a stem, and
That's
so we had a whole ad for that stem.
yeah.
It is a weird stem. It's like, let's make a stem that looks like a piston from an engine. Like, it even has like a ring.
A ring in the front.
It has like a ring slot in the front.
I mean, it worked. A lot of people rode those.
Really?
Yeah. And they're pretty sought after now too, especially the ones that are made in USA.
How about that frame? Is that thing sought after?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, for real.
By who?
Nerds.
Wow.
I shouldn't say that.
That is
Oh,
wild.
here,
Yes, take that out. Edit that out.
Yeah.
Oh, this is endless, man. Like,
Dude.
we're gonna be here till like midnight. This is insane. This is insane. We got
it
Aaron
says,
Ross's bike. Is that his actual
No, it's
bike?
not his actual bike. He keeps all of them.
Oh my god, man. Whose bike is this?
Nobody's. This is a old Shelby, and then
Yeah.
here's a moto sheet with.
Well, this is a Shelby James signature profile.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And like, Shelby James is probably this big now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, how young was he when he rode this?
And on here is.
What is this? A moto sheet?
Yeah, and there's Shelby James is on it. Shelby James.
Who else is in that moto? I can't read any of that.
So Danny's brother was in here, Timmy Nelson. You met Danny with
Yeah.
the gray beard.
Yeah.
His brother raced him. But let's see, Jack Clare, Billy Ellis, Brad Cashwell. I don't know any of these other names. Ryan Cox, Christopher Anderson, Justin Green.
Justin Green.
Yeah. Timothy Wells. Timothy Willis.
Well, chances are Shelby won that moto.
Shelby 111.
Well, there we go. Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect for the day. Wow, that is insane. You have the moto sheet. These shield wrap hubs. Talk about retirement.
Right?
People would offer you.
I've gotten offered a good
Christian
good amount.
Regal. You know who
Yeah.
Christian Regal is? He's always trying to find those.
Yep.
Yeah, that's your. If you were luckily, you're not like addicted to cocaine or something, because that shit would be gone
Yeah.
immediately. You would have sold that a long time ago. Yeah, you got some wild stuff, man. I love coming through here. It's like a lot of it just reminds me of like folding
The
fork
folding pegs,
standers.
yeah. And then those pegs that helped you
Yeah.
lock into a rail. They
Hey.
needed those today.
Do you know how good that would have worked today?
I know.
That cost somebody $250.
Yeah. Only if they
Yeah.
didn't have straight pegs.
If somebody could have derailed the cinema van,
yeah.
like I don't know how you would derail those guys from even getting to the jam.
Yeah.
But if somebody could have like created a fake detour or something on the road, and told those guys like road's closed.
Yeah.
Or someone could have just sent a text or something and said like,
jam's over.
jam's over.
Yeah.
Okay, and then they would have put those pegs on. They would have made $250.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they
That would have
didn't.
been so funny.
Chad Curley got the money, Rich get richer. The rich get richer. Get smart, kids. Get yourself a flared peg. Learn to create a fake road construction sign.
The Liberty peg, I think is what those were called.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, it's not a bad idea. It's like cheating,
Yeah.
but a lot of people don't have a problem with cheating. Oh, you know what? I think we made this bike.
Oh, the tandem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I think we made that bike for the Odyssey guys. That's funny. Nice deck, blind skateboards deck. Rack my brain on the name. This is blind skateboards.
Yeah.
Rack my brain on the name to shield your eyes.
Because you're blind.
Because you're blind.
Yeah, yeah.
Shield.
Okay.
Eyes.
Yep.
Blind.
Yep.
That's why I get the big money. This right here, man. What a whole deal this was.
Yeah.
So this guy, the guy that started Supreme hit me up and said, hey, at 95, I had this S&M bike. I loved it. And, you know, I want to make another one for Supreme. And I was like, okay, it's going to be challenging because we make American-made stuff. So this is an American-made bike. This is the only American-made S&M complete we've ever made. And we set up a whole production line for this.
Yeah,
I think we made like, I think we did 300 of these, 500 of these.
I think it's 500.
500. But these things sold for upwards of like, you know, thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I think they retailed at first was $1,700.
Yeah.
And then immediately people were selling them for $8,000 to $10,000.
Yeah, and I sold them to them, I think, for like $850 or something.
Yeah.
But for me, the whole, like the challenge of doing this project, and I didn't know anything about Supreme. I'm not into that whole, you know, like street culture, whatever, sneaker. I'm not a sneaker freaker or whatever, sneaker culture guy. I didn't know anything about Supreme. I just knew that I wanted to see if we could do it. Like set up an assembly line. So one guy gets the frame, then the other guy puts the headset in it, and then the other guy does this, and you have all the tools, the pneumatic tools or whatever. And we put everything on carts, and then the carts would come by, and we had like 20 guys all set up, and then at the end of the line, you had this bike, but fully packaged up and in a box. And that was the goal. And we pulled it off, and they came out great. And all the stuff I sourced, you know, just like to the guy's specifications. Like he wanted this sprocket, he wanted this gear. Like everything was the Supreme guy's deal. He wanted all this stuff, and I made suggestions, but at the end of the day, he got the exact bike that he wanted, that he had, like in '95. And then we redid the logo with the pad. Look, it even said Supreme in the pad. Like Flight printed these for me up in Oregon. Actually, they printed them in Southern California. They've since moved to Oregon. But all this stuff is pretty much American made, as much as it can be. And as soon as we did this, like COVID hit, everything got shut down. All the Supreme stores got shut down, and then the dude sold Supreme. But it all happened like right after this. We did this bike, then COVID.
Well, maybe he was just waiting so he could build this bike and then close.
These bikes were supposed to be in the front windows of all the stores, like Japan, New York, LA, wherever the stores were. To this day, I've never been to a Supreme store. But these bikes were supposed to be in the front window of all the stores. And I knew that this brand had like, you know, a big following. And people would love it. And look, we even printed Supreme on a seat post clamp. I mean, look, the seat even says Supreme.
And you
the shield, look at this. The embossed seat says Supreme. That's insane.
And the redneck stem.
Oh, it says Supreme too. I mean, that's American made. This bike is wild. The shield, look at the
Supreme shield.
The screw-on shield. I should have kept 10 of these things, and I should have sold them all for 10 grand. Yeah, and well, then, I didn't keep any of them.
And then right after this is when you did the chainsaw, right?
Yep. Yeah, because we recreated the sprocket that he wanted. And then it was so nice that eventually we just redid it. Now, why do you still have this thing?
Because it's cool. You wouldn't be talking about this if I didn't have it.
That's true. That's true. Look at this. The Budweiser. Come on. Shield your eyes. See what I'm up at late at night? I'm just like sweating late at night. Like
you wake up from
Budweiser.
What's that?
What do you mean? What? Because it's Budweiser, and it's a visor. It's the Budweiser.
Oh my god.
And then it was like, no one cares about that. Whatever.
See, another set of the whole shield kit.
Yeah, that's crazy.
The stealth hubs.
Yeah, I know. That's crazy. Like I ran those hubs, and that's how that happened. So I started racing with those hubs, and this company that did this wrap. So there's a couple different wraps here. There's the profile wrap, which doesn't look good. And that's their supplier. Like they had a company that did wraps. And they never looked good. See how the yellow, everything looks translucent? The yellow looks greenish. Look at this stuff over here. All looks really good. That was my guy. And that company that did that and did all these, did the metal. Well, that's Dan's comp.
It is.
Wow, you got Dan. I was going to say it was metal bikes, and then it dawned on me that was Dan's comp. So we did that for Dan's comp. We did the camo credence. The company that did all this just one day, no, we don't want to do it anymore.
Oh wow.
They still won't. I hit them up every couple years. They're busy with guns They do a lot of guns. They do a lot of other small things that they wrap. They want nothing to do with us. And we were spending a fortune on that
I
stuff.
bet you were.
It costs like $13 to wrap the stem in the cap.
Yeah.
$13
Wow.
just to wrap them. Like you could make the stem and cap for, I don't know, 20 something.
Yeah.
Right?
And
like
then-
raw.
Yeah.
Before you do anything but molds or packaging or whatever, but like it was almost as much to wrap it as was to make it.
That's crazy.
It was insane. But people loved it. And I mean, I loved it. But yeah, now, and there's no other company that does that,
kind of
process.
process, yeah.
And everybody thinks it's just like the hydro dip. It's not. It's not hydro dip. Hydro dip's like you put the part in the water, you bring it out, but it's always gross on the backside. There's like all these weird seams on the backside. This isn't hydro dip. This is a totally different process. And it's like a proprietary process that this company does. So whoever profile had doing that, I really should hit those guys up and ask them. I know it never looked good,
Yeah.
but that's not our guy. Like
Yeah.
they did that on their end. Because when they sent me the hubs and then I had them dipped or had them wrapped, they looked like these. And that same company is the one that did like that camo frame.
Oh, where
Yeah,
it's at?
that same company did that camo frame.
Okay.
And so at first it was like we could do anything over there, and then the tanks got smaller, and they couldn't do the frame anymore. And then it was like, oh, now they don't want to do it at all.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at now. But look at this. You've even got like the original S&M stickers.
So this Mad Dog sticker sheet, I was told it was original Mad Dog sticker sheet.
It looks like it, man. See where it's got the registration marks?
Yeah.
That, to me, that is an original sticker sheet.
Yeah.
Because it's like kind of poorly printed. It's got the registration marks on it. It's just this big, blocky, square, sheer
Is
cut.
that how, do you remember if that's how you got those stickers?
Yeah, that's how they
Okay,
came, for
okay.
sure. And then later we got slicker. Now we do like die cut stuff. See how it's got like steel rule die to make the shapes. Like that's how things went that way eventually. But yeah, in the early days, it's just sheer cut, just, registration marks on the sticker.
Okay.
I think that is original.
Cool. How many of those?
I mean, people do knock those off, but they don't knock them off that well. Well,
Yeah.
they didn't until now.
How
Now they will be.
How many of those have you seen?
Not many.
How many? How many?
I have a K9 design one.
Yeah. How many do you think you gave out back in the day like that?
I don't know. We didn't sell them, and we didn't really give them out. They only came on the frame.
Okay.
You
So
got
that's-
the lunatic talk. What's written here?
What's
Someone wrote something on there.
I don't know. But you
Yeah,
know what?
that's
You
not-
know what? You know why I have that?
Yeah, because the bass player's got the S&M hat.
Yeah.
I remember when she got it. I remember when she got that hat.
And then I have a right here a Prince Albert box
Yeah.
and the Prince Albert cranks with the paperwork.
But the box, I mean, what do you have the can for? That
I
didn't
don't
come.
know.
We didn't send the
No,
can
I
out.
I found that at like a junk store.
Yeah, I know
Prince
the
Albert.
box is sweet. The paperwork's like all that's really cool. And even this is like crazy that you have this. But she got that hat from my friend John, rest in peace, John Mutone from Philly, because they're from Jersey or New York, and they came out to California, and John was out there, and she liked the hat, and John gave her the hat. But you ever look at that hat? It says S&M hat.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? It's an S&M hat.
To go with the S&M fork.
Right,
S&M
I know. See,
frame.
I don't always come up with Budweiser. Sometimes I'm just like, oh,
Yeah.
it's just a hat.
Was this the last? Did you get a cease and desist from
Yeah.
Louis Vuitton?
Yeah, I not only got a cease and desist, I had to pay them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that
that
one
sucks.
sucked. That one sucked real bad. And it's interesting, it's still not done. Like, it's not a done deal. So that was originally Brandon Began. Began loved that.
Yeah.
Right? That's before he was a scumbag. He later became scumbag, but he used to like this, like, Louis Vuitton whole deal.
Yeah.
So that's how it all came about. But then I think he quit the team or something, right? And then it just became like FB instead of BB.
Yeah.
Because it was
Okay.
BB at first.
Really?
Yeah, it was
So there's
Brandon Began.
there's two different seats in
Yeah,
there?
because, we had all these head tube badges that were BB for Brandon Began.
Okay.
Or maybe he wanted that seat, but he just wanted it to say FB. I don't know. But something that was all Brandon Began era.
Yeah.
Stuff that he wanted to do. So yeah, I got the cease and desist. Then the lawyers got into me. Then I had to actually give them money. That turned into a whole deal. It was a pain in the ass. But if you look now on like our B2B site, there's a Fit Brown seat.
Yeah.
They're almost gone. They're those seats.
Okay.
Because I had so many of those seats on order
Yeah.
that luckily they hadn't printed that on the Brown.
Oh, really?
So then I just changed the name of that to Leroy Brown, but they'd already like cut the shape of the fabric. They hadn't printed it yet. So I said, okay, I'm not going to back out of my order. I ordered all this crap. So or
just don't print it.
Just don't print it. Just put it on the seat, and we'll just sell them as Brown seats.
Wow.
And those are still available now.
Yeah.
They're called Leroy Brown. I could have probably printed something else on there, but yeah, that was not.
That's kind of cool. I never even realized that.
Yeah, it was. That was one of those weird ones where it was like, oh man, not only did we get cease and desist, but I actually have to like cut them a check. And I had to do that with Ride Magazine too. I don't know if you have any of the Ride BMX stuff that we did, or Ride S&M.
Oh, I have.
Remember they were Ride BMX, and then we did Ride S&M. And I actually had to pay them too.
A Ride S&M hat somewhere too.
Yeah, I actually had to pay them for that a little bit.
Somebody brought me that from your 20 year.
30 year.
Was that?
That's 30 year.
The hot dog ramp?
Yeah.
Okay, that was the 30-year party?
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody brought me that from your 30-year party.
Yeah. That was a great party. Yeah. That was the one where there were like 2,500 people there.
That's crazy.
It was a camp out at the motocross track. Yeah, you got good stuff. And it's like just interesting stuff too.
Do you recognize this or know this?
Man, I want to say that's like, I feel like that's probably a Behringer's frame.
Yeah.
Before he was on S&M.
Yep.
Did he have it all stickered up like that before he was on S&M?
Yep. And then he, this was his front flip frame, and he won like the Fuse or the Fizzes dirt and got a 7th place in the street, and he sent it over to us.
Wow.
Yeah. He needs some spokes. So I just asked him, I was like, you got something cool to send? And he's like, yeah, I'll send you this.
Just recently?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably building his new Behringer Tallboy.
Yeah. And that's also his, what is that, the next gen? This was his bike too. He sent me both of these.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, getting him on S&M was something I really wanted to do, but it took, like he was getting paid pretty good by these guys.
Oh, I bet.
But I was able to, because of Snafu, there's a Magoo, I was able to work with Magoo to get him, to pay Matt more. And then I paid him as much as I could. And then together, S&M and Snafu kind of got close enough to get Matt. But imagine if you're Matt and you're riding this just hunk of shit. I mean, look at this pile. Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Like he was riding this.
And
look at the back.
Look at riding it good too.
Pick it up. Pick this up.
Right?
How is he riding that?
And doing front flips.
Yeah. This isn't that much different from the whole shot frame. It just doesn't have
all the holes in it.
Yeah, so Matt was riding that.
Yeah.
So to him, even if I came in a little bit lower with the S&M and the Snafu money together,
with a better bike,
he was probably like, oh my God,
yeah.
I will do that in a heartbeat. I probably could have given him less money. I mean, if I had known how crazy this bike was when I made that phone call, I probably would have offered him half. But I didn't know. I was just like, dude, look at the size of this dropout.
Talk about your dinner plates.
That's a high school dropout.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that all about? Oh, and you got the GT bash guard in here. You have a core bash guard?
No.
See, you got some stuff, but you don't have it all. You need the core thrash guard in here. That was the first one. That was the copy of the core.
Oh, here's the pegs they really needed today.
The rollers? Oh, dude, that would have locked right on.
Yeah.
The Blammo, whose bike is that?
It was this kid that raced on my race team. It was his dad's.
Wow. The Bandito. This just came up the other day at some interview I did with the guys at Dirty Knobs, because when I was a kid, I used to get beat by a girl when I first started racing, and she rode one of those bikes.
Yeah.
And we always, because look at the
You got 2 different dropouts on the front
yeah.
and back.
So what is going on here? Like, okay, if you go on this dropout, right, this is what your bike looks like. Now, if you go all the way to that bottom dropout, what's going to happen? The bike's going to the bottom bracket's going to come up, and the front's going to get steeper, and now you're just going to be like up here and super steep.
But then you could just move your front wheel back and make it even worse.
Make it even worse. So you're going to have like the worst ever bike.
Yeah.
A kind of okay bike, and then then you come down here. And it's still, but you know what's crazy about it is, it's still look at how high the bottom bracket is.
Yeah.
It's like a monster truck, and you're already in the top spot.
Yep.
You're only gonna go up.
It's so crazy.
It's
And then the
terrible.
bars.
Look at the bars. I mean, I don't know, man. This is what's crazy about BMX. It's like something, sometimes people just remove stuff that needs to be there. And then sometimes they just add stuff that doesn't need to be there.
Yeah.
You know, like perfect example. Look at this bike here. Like look at the handlebar and look at the boss bar. Like,
Yeah.
look at these bars. Oh, let's just add a crossbar in, right?
Wow.
You don't need it. And then look at the slingshot. Let's just get rid of the down tube.
And put some cables.
So I don't know it doesn't seem that difficult to me. It's like, you don't need 2 crossbars, but you do need a down tube, and you don't need like multiple slots in your drum.
You need 4 dropouts.
Yeah, so then you just like anywhere you look, anything you look, you just look at the S&M frame. It's like, or the bar, 1 crossbar, 1 down tube,
Yeah.
2 fork legs. 36 spokes. Like you don't need 5 spokes,
No.
but you don't need 48. You just need 36.
We still get asked
You're
a
fine.
lot for 48 spoke wheels.
Well, look at this. Look at that. That's a lot of spokes.
Yeah. Why?
I don't know, man.
Because the rims were so crappy.
Yeah, so they made better rims, 36 spokes. I mean,
Yeah.
you could even do with like 28. I used to run a 28 spoke wheel.
Yeah, 28 whole front wheels are not
Yeah, like
uncommon.
the Diamondback, the Turbo Light. I used to
Yeah.
run the Turbo Light wheel, 28 spokes. You don't really need that many spokes.
Yeah.
This is the first good race. This is the first bike I ever raced on, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah. Racing. I don't remember mine being that big, but I mean, what year is that bike from?
Probably 78, 79. Might be 80. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, so maybe they got bigger. Maybe mine was, I don't know. Maybe I was smaller size. Maybe they had like an Expert or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was an FMF. That was a Racing. That was also a Thrust. No, there was another brand that pretty much made that bike. Like there was one guy making those bikes, and I
Yeah.
think he was selling them to other people.
Just different stickers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like FMF for sure was
Yep.
that bike.
Yep.
And then there was another name. I can't remember what the other one was too, but
Is it start with a D? And didn't they have a gusset that had holes in it though?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a bunch of little holes.
I want to say Thruster, but that's not what it is.
No.
Thruster's like Jersey or something.
Yeah.
And then what do you like? Is this just like your freestyle has exploded? Everybody import
make
a
a neon
piece of
color.
shit bike
Yeah.
from China
Yeah.
section. That's
Yeah.
an interesting
Like,
section.
look at this. Talk about nice bars.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
They didn't add anything extra. They just bent them a whole bunch.
yeah, yeah, but it's almost like they just from a manufacturer standpoint, it's like they had a night shift in the shop, and the manager came in the morning, and the sweep is all wrong because this is supposed to be in line with the front. Like this is just like a basic dyno bar.
Yeah.
Right? It's supposed to be this bar. And the guy just messed up the machine overnight.
And
And
made
then
hundreds of bars.
Run like thousands
Yeah.
of them, right? And then the guy came in and was like,
That's cool.
just twist them back
Yeah.
and then just weld them up.
Or they were like,
Like,
or-
why not?
Or they were
Why not?
Or they were mountain bike bars
Right.
that just got welded on sideways.
No, I think, yeah. and then they're like, well, okay, Doc, you stand all over this bike and then just stand here. Like this is for standing.
Yeah.
We stand here and then
you grab
we
your seat.
grab here. I mean, like what is going on, man? You got Billy Griggs' jacket?
Yeah.
Oh,
He sent me a
wow.
whole bunch of stuff.
How'd you get
He's
Billy
on-
Griggs to send you all this stuff?
With money.
Oh, you had to pay him?
Yeah. But it was a lot of cool stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that makes sense. Love Billy, but
Yeah.
that makes sense. What else do you got over here? Yeah, more of this is the era that S&M started right here. This is why S&M started.
Yeah.
In 1987, this is what was happening.
Yeah.
And when I worked at the magazine, I was the test rider. They would honestly be like, okay, we're going to ride. Like, this is the bike. One of the first bikes I ever tested had these crazy wheel discs on it.
Really?
Yeah, the Raleigh Reflex. It was called the Raleigh Reflex. What is this bike called?
The Huffy Vortex.
Yeah, well, Reflex, Vortex.
Vortex, yeah.
It's all.
At least this one was made in the USA.
No, it wasn't.
It's right here, made in the USA.
It's a Huffy?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it was. They had a thing in Dayton where they had
Yeah.
a factory where they actually made bikes. And I've met this old dude recently actually that worked in that factory and made like all the tooling for stamp like punch presses
Oh,
and
cool.
stuff like that, and he's really smart. And they actually made some good stuff for like high production.
Yeah.
You know, like the way they do it in Taiwan,
Yeah.
and China. Like it's a lot different over there. You know, like a lot of these. You know, like to take the like these. You know, like when you miter a frame, like what this is one of Mike's frames. You know, like a layered frame. When you miter a frame here in the States, you know, we'll like hold the tube and take a hole saw and cut, you know, the miter or the fish mouth into the tube. Overseas, man, they just punch that.
Really? And it keeps the tubing straight somehow?
Well, you know what it does? It kind of like, it will, it tends to dent the tubing on the side that the wedge cutter comes in from. And when I first started doing like fit complete bikes over there, I would obsess on this shit. That's why I was over there in Taiwan so much back in the early days of fit.
Yeah.
Because I would obsess on this stuff. And I would come up with things like, okay, if you're going to punch this tube, punch it from the bottom, and then we'll put the gusset over it.
Yeah.
And then this gusset will cover the part where it's kind of like dimpled.
Yeah.
And if we're going to punch it here, we'll put a gusset on the top and we'll cover the part that's dimpled. And I would do stuff like that all the time. Like the dropouts, you know, we laser cut them here, but over there they'd stamp them.
Yep.
I would create a left side stamp and a right side stamp so that when they got stamped, the outside edge would be rounded, the inside edge would be square.
Okay.
And then it would be symmetrical. So on this side, you'd have the outside edge would be rounded, the inside edge would be square. So then when you looked at your frame, you know, they looked symmetrical.
Yeah.
That edge was kind of knocked off. That edge was knocked off. These edges were flat.
Huh.
And we were like I was the only company who was doing stuff like that. And so when other brands, you would look at their bike, this one's rounded, that one's rounded. It just make the whole thing just visually.
Look crooked.
It looks crooked. It's not crooked. It would ride straight. It just looked crooked.
Yeah.
But I was like over there 4 or 5 times a year, 2-3 weeks at a time, obsessing on all this crap.
Yeah.
But those early fit completes were like, you weren't used to seeing bikes that nice
Yeah.
as completes.
Yeah.
And the prices were still good, but the bikes looked really good.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of little things like that I was doing, you know? Like I don't know. Like this is Laird, he makes a good frame.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking his frame, but like I can't deal with that.
Yeah.
I just can't deal with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that one either.
I can't. I mean, that's like full. That's full Taiwan.
Yeah.
They're just like, you know.
I'm not
you
sure
know,
this
oh,
is.
sprocket, no clear. Hit.
Yeah.
Hit.
Take up Bob Ping.
No, they're just like hit. You know.
Yeah.
We're like whoa, no. We don't want to. No, we don't want to hit it. Why can't we? Can we just like bend it different, or like what's going on here? Is left side drive this? This must, you know, this is knowing Mike, and he is a craftsman. This is probably a custom bike.
It was
for someone that's left side drive and wants to run like a 44.
Yep, that's exactly.
You know, and he's like, dude, your rear end's 13 inches long.
Yeah.
And you want to run a 44? What are you know, Pistol Pete?
Yeah. And
you don't need a 44. It's gonna hit. You got so well, how big can I run? 33? No, I want to run the 44. Okay.
Yeah, that's funny that you looked at that and could tell.
Well, because he wouldn't put. I don't think he'd put that in there.
Yeah, that's exactly what that was a custom order frame for somebody, and he got it and didn't really like it after he ordered it, and then now it's here.
Oh, the guy didn't like it.
Yeah.
After he put the 45 on there.
Yeah, not anything from Mike, not any fault of his, but
no, I mean he just makes what the guy told him to make. I'm just saying, like, forget about that example. Yeah. I'm just saying on this crap.
Yeah.
This is mass produced, and we're talking about like 1,000 of these frames coming off a production line every single day.
That's so crazy.
Or more.
How many?
Like people don't even sit down to weld; they stand up.
Yeah.
And the frame just comes down the line. It's like your job is to weld that top tube to that head tube, and that's it.
That's it.
And then you just pass it to the next person, and they weld the other tube, and it's just like for like 12 hours a day.
In the height of BMX, how many BMX bikes do you think were sold?
Like annually?
Yeah, like.
Well, I think brands like this, like okay, like by the time Hutch went over there, they were done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like they, you know, the family, the Hutchins family had problems with the company here. By the time they went over there, it was like short-lived.
Yeah.
Right? It was almost done instantly.
Yeah.
Same with Skyway. You know, I feel like Skyway went over there, it was like done almost instantly.
Yeah.
Diamondback did a little better. General did terrible. They were done like almost instantly
Yeah,
too.
they were real short-lived.
Haro obviously has probably done better than
Yeah.
anyone. I would say at the height of Haro, I'm not a huge industry like expert, but I would say 20-inch freestyle bikes, maybe 100,000 a year.
Really? When
Yeah.
when do you think that would have been?
I mean, I would say it's
In the
like this era.
Like 87.
It's the
88?
what were they called? The Master, the
Yeah.
Sport.
Yeah.
It's probably that era.
Did you ever ride a Master or Sport or? Haro?
No. I tested a Haro. I tested a few Haros, but
Yeah.
they were never the freestyly Haros. They would give me like the Group 1.
The race bikes, yeah.
Yeah, like more of the single, like double diamond,
Yeah.
regular frames, not these standing platform frames.
Look what you're about to step on.
Is that the front end for the Patterson?
For the Hutch Pro Racer.
Oh, the Hutch.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild.
Yep.
I mean, we have a lot of fixtures in our shop. What's crazy is like how just like it's like agricultural, it's like very rudimentary kind of,
Yeah.
and then somehow they've engraved the word pro
Yep.
into it. Like, why? Like, that
So
seems
they-
overkill.
So they knew which one it was?
Yeah, but couldn't they have written, like, they
Yeah.
probably could have just like
Put a sticker on it.
put a sticker on it? It
Yeah.
just seems like, especially for
Just
that
put
era,
a sticker on it.
because
Yeah.
there's no like CNC machine. Like somebody
Sat there with a hand engraver. and-
somehow,
Yeah.
how'd they do that? There was no CNC machine.
Here's this was the ESP.
Yeah.
So was that one a little bit different?
It's a
than
little bit different,
Yeah.
but it's like similar. The ESP, like the what was that? Eddie Sigmund.
Yep.
Eddie Sigmund, like I think it's a guy from Texas, racer. I think he's passed away actually. I think he's my age, but I think that's what ESP was. Eddie Sigmund products.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I don't know.
I think it
so.
is. But no, I'm talking about what the guy's name was, like Marty Ined or something. He
Yeah,
did the Flying W.
It looked almost the same because I think people confused these two, which
Yeah.
I guess I did.
Well, they were like very small, numbered. It's like this was cool stuff.
Yeah.
Like this wasn't stuff you could just find at your local bike shop back in the day. You kind of had to know somebody, or that's pretty fancy stuff
Yeah.
for the time.
This Astron was a company from around here where you are now. I'm
Really?
pretty sure.
Colorado?
I'm pretty sure it was out of Colorado.
I've never seen that before.
It's from like 83-ish.
Oh, that's
But it was
interesting.
a VDC build bike.
Really? Oh yeah, look,
Yep.
pierced.
Yep.
If it's pierced, it probably came from VDC. That dude Boris Dixon, he loved to pierce. He liked
Yeah.
to pierce everything. I don't know why. And you don't have any VDCs in here, huh?
Mhm.
Did we ever find out what that Spanish said?
Yeah.
It's gonna be foul, isn't it?
Yes.
Is it foul?
Yep.
What is it?
It says, "Shut up or I will kill you."
So yeah, eat the shit of a little monkey, drink the milk of love, shut up or I will kill you. I think there were a few more, but at least,
That's
we,
so
got,
funny.
at least we got to the bottom
Yeah.
of that one.
This is a good one.
Shut up or I'll kill you.
I asked Google and I had to send to a Spanish dude to get confirmation.
Oh my
Is
god.
Google lying to me right now?
I remember this bike actually.
Yeah. The square seat post.
Yeah, but there's something else about this bike that some track masters I thought, I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's the eccentric bottom bracket.
And the
So,
fixed rear
oh, and the
dropout.
fixed rear dropout.
Yeah.
So this is pretty cool stuff. Like this is stuff that like RRS,
I'm
like,
pretty sure-
RRS ended up doing, Riverside, Redland, Schwinn,
Yeah.
RRS
I'm
did a
pretty
lot
sure
of this
they
stuff.
made Trackmaster made them for RRS.
Oh, they did? Oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because, here's what's not cool about this bike. It's pretty creative, right? As a manufacturer, I look at this bike and I'm like, oh my God, like the square seat tube. What if it's not perfectly straight? There's no, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the seat can spin on the round part at the top.
Yeah,
But-
because they didn't want different guts for the seats.
Right, but what if you don't want to be in one of these positions? Now where are you going to be? What if you don't want this sharp
The sharp
bolt, this bolt hanging out of the nut? That's weird.
right?
So I wasn't, I didn't love
In the
that.
bottom bracket.
The other thing I don't love about this bike is, and VDC did this too, because VDC used to like to pierce the top tube and
Yeah.
the down tube on the Changa bike, like the menstrual cycle. So he used this is a 10-speed headset.
Yeah.
This isn't a regular
Yeah.
BMX headset. So this is smaller.
Yep.
So these cups are smaller, the steer tube is smaller. Dudes that rode bikes with these headsets just broke them instantly.
Yeah.
They just, yeah, because this is a 10-speed headset,
Yeah.
it's smaller.
I mean, look at how much it's flaking off right now.
Yeah, it's smaller, they bent, they broke, nobody liked this. But what I did like about this and the RRS bike too, was the enclosed dropouts.
Yeah.
I thought were pretty cool, but because this is a fixed dropout, that's a true dropout. You know, a dropout is called a dropout because when you loosen the wheel, it drops out.
Yeah.
It doesn't drop back. It's not called a drop back. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
a dropout, and that's why it's called a dropout. So this is a true dropout, but regular bikes have derailleurs that take up the chain slack.
Yeah.
So you leave the wheel fixed and the derailleur takes up the chain slack. So how do you take up the chain slack? Look at this crazy thing.
You twist the bottom bracket.
It moves around. And so when you move it up, it tightens the chain. And when you move it back, it loosens the chain.
But also raise and lower your bottom bracket.
What if you don't like the geometry?
Yeah.
But up here is the same as down there as far as the distance.
Yeah.
So you kind of are getting like the Bandito effect here. It's like, do you want it low or do you want it high? And then once you decide if you want it low or high, do you want it forward or do you want it back?
Yeah. Like,
You know what I mean?
but did people even think about that stuff?
I don't know, but the weirdest thing is you have to clamp. You have to clamp
it
the
on the
bottom
bottom.
bracket shell
Yeah.
to tighten the cones, like to tighten the whole. That's a Euro,
Yeah.
but it's a European bottom bracket, but you have to tighten this pinch to tighten the cones in there. So I don't know, man. There's a lot going on there. Just to get the dropout.
Yeah. And that's just from a tandem.
Right. That's why years later when we did the WTF, I liked the black hole, what we called the black hole dropout, because it was enclosed, but it was slotted.
A little bit, yes.
It had a little bit, and
Yeah.
the slot, the distance was like calculated based on the most popular gear ratios
At the time, yeah.
and chain links.
Yeah.
And then half links if you wanted to run one half link.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some cool stuff going on here. But
Why would
again,
you-
in BMX, it's like the way the market works. A lot of it's like who brings it out, how they bring it out, not really what they bring out. So one company brings something out, and it's like, you know, oh, that's the stupidest thing we've ever seen. And then another company brings the exact same thing out 10 years later, and they're like, oh my God, it's the greatest thing we've ever seen. You know, wait,
Yeah.
somebody just brought that out. You know, a good example of that's like these like 990 brakes. Remember in the 80s when companies started like bringing out 990 like U brakes,
Uh-huh.
and even some companies were putting them on the chainstays, and
Yep.
everybody was like, "This is the dumbest thing ever."
Yeah.
And then when I came out, when I first made bikes,
Well, yeah, look
I
at
just
this-
went
look at
back to
this Diamondback.
calipers. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like this is a dumb company at this time, a dumb frame, imported. It's gross. It has all this like
Yeah.
stuff going on with it, but it has U-brake mounts on it.
Yeah.
And
They feel pretty good.
And then when I come out with a frame, I just go backwards in time and come out with a full, single pivot
Yeah.
side pull caliper. Because I was like, I just don't want to mess with all that weird mountain bikey stuff. But then as riding changed and people needed more braking power because they wanted to do like Fufanoos or Bubicas or whatever, now all of a sudden the 990 comes back.
As a pit bull.
Yeah, well, no, companies were bringing, some of these bikes actually had just regular AD 990s, like right there. That bike, whatever that is,
Schwinn Predator or Freeform.
that has a regular AD
Yeah.
990 brake. It's just upside down, which is funky. But as soon as they put them on the chainstay, back in the 90s for mid-school bikes, that's what everybody wanted.
Yeah.
But it's all like who brings it out, when they bring it out, and how they bring it out.
Yeah.
And how they package it up. Like, is it just a gimmick, or is it something that's, actually helpful for the way we ride? Like all this, I mean, look at this craziness, right? Like everybody wanted to spin the bars,
Yeah.
but look what you had to do to spin the bars until Brian Skura invented this doodad.
Yeah.
Brian Skura invented that, but prior to him inventing that, look what you had to do to spin the bars. It had this crazy thing. Now, how you had to have your stem. It's crazy. And even these,
Those sucked.
they've gotten a little simpler,
Yeah.
but they're
It's
still
the same exact thing.
pretty much.
Yep.
But now you can do that with like a hydraulic brake.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. Or you can just take your brakes off.
Yeah, ride brakeless.
which is what people do. That's how brakeless started, is because people couldn't true their wheel. They didn't know how to
And the
true their
brakes
wheel.
sucked.
The brakes rubbed all the time.
Yeah.
Brakes didn't even work.
Yeah.
And then the rim was always rubbing.
We get a lot of old school dudes come in and we're like, how come none of these new bikes don't have front brakes? I'm like, because the rear brakes work fine.
Yeah,
Like, you don't need two brakes anymore.
right. But you could do cool tricks with the front brake.
Yeah.
Like
Who
the
does
flip
that
was
at the
doing.
trails?
Yeah, not the trails, but I mean, flip
But
was
yeah,
doing
flip.
cool.
Yeah. It was awesome watching Flip ride.
And don't forget the first front flips were
We're slamming on the front brakes.
front brake assisted. You know.
Yeah.
Wow. So we've like worked our way through this thing.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, we missed a lot, but we saw a lot too. What do we have? Todd Steen's uniform here. All S&S or the Marty
yeah.
Marty Sheehan? Who are we talking about here?
I don't think it's anybody's.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Wow. Good FMF over there.
Yep. No, it's CW.
Oh, the yellow and red
Yeah,
CW.
yeah.
And Boss. Whose Boss jersey is that?
Where's the boss jersey? The boss jersey is somebody's.
This is Dusty Wiedemann.
Yes.
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah, I drove up to Maine and picked up a whole bunch of stuff from him actually.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. Here's those super early S&M bars. Yeah.
You had your hand on.
Yeah. Was this it? Just had slam bars.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That's the original. That's another. That's me. Even if I rub on letters.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day, you didn't have computers.
Yeah.
This is pre-computer, so you would get these rub-on letters and you'd put them on these art boards, and that would be the first color, and then you would have a clear plastic overlay,
Yeah.
right, that was taped at the top, and then you would do the second color, and then third color, and so on. It was all overlays.
Okay.
And then you would take pictures of all that in this big camera. It's called a stat camera, and then it'd spit out these films, and then the printer, the actual screen printer, would take those films and make a screen out of each layer,
Yeah.
which is a individual color. And then just like with your carousel, you would just screen print the sticker just like a t-shirt. That's how you did all the art.
That's so crazy.
Well, there were no computers. It was
Yeah.
pre-computer. So all this stuff, like pretty much everything you have in here is like, a lot of it's pre-computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they weren't rub-on letters, they were like hand-drawn letters, you know? Even your old magazines were made like that.
Yeah.
Artboards.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy. There was no computer. It's a whole
It took
different.
so long. It took so long.
It took a long time, yeah, but it was cool too. I mean, everything was more hands-on
Yeah.
back in the early days, and you know, you could do all of it yourself, really. Which,
That's true.
I mean, it made it for me. I was in 11th grade, you know. Like, you know, I didn't have a Photoshop or InDesign or what do they do? I don't even know what they do graphics in, you know.
Yeah.
Photoshop, who knows?
Photoshop, I guess.
Something, but yeah. All right. Well, what else do we got?
I
We're
don't
pretty much
Yeah.
went through it, huh?
Yeah. Here's more little whole shot junior racer. They're rear triangle jigs. That's BF's X Games helmet.
Wow.
And then Alan Foster's Airwalks uniform.
Oh, that's cool. What do you got? DK's at Neil's?
Yep.
I wonder if we made that.
Yeah.
So yeah, in that era, we were making frames for a couple of these companies.
With
We-
like the
yeah,
we
we made.
okay.
I bet we made that.
Yeah.
We also made TJ Lavin's Specialized Fat Boy.
Okay.
Fat Boys.
Yeah.
So those bikes that we were looking at over there that looked like crazy, but not
Yeah.
not the monocoque ones, but ones that just have big tubes.
Yeah.
So we made Specialized bikes for TJ when he rode for Specialized for a while.
I don't think I realized that.
We made Neil's. We made frames for Neil
Yeah.
when he rode for DK. I mean, we made frames for the Giant BMX team when they
Yeah.
had like a big freestyle squad.
Yeah.
Like Woody Itzen was in charge.
Why am I drawing a blank on the dude's name that?
I don't know, but yeah, we made bikes for them. So we were making stuff for other companies because
Yeah.
the riders needed, you know, something stronger or better, lighter, stronger,
Yeah.
whatever, combination of lighter and stronger. And then these other brands just couldn't, they didn't have manufacturing, you know, in-house.
Yeah.
So they were having to, like say Neil wanted a different geometry on a DK, he would have to go to Billy and they would have to draw it up and send it to Taiwan, and it would take months to get a frame back where we could have a frame in 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Who was the first company or person you made a frame for that wasn't an S&M frame?
Yeah, that's a great question. We started making frames around 2000 on our own. I think 99, 2000 when we made our first frames ourselves. Geez, I don't know, maybe that's Specialized. I don't know. Like, that's a really hard one to. I know over the years we've made like production stuff, mainly handlebars for tons of people.
Yeah.
You know, Primo, FBM, T1. I'm sure DK, Hoffman bikes.
Yeah.
Like Hoffman sometimes comes out with these like
Mm-hmm.
crazy bars.
Yeah.
We made those.
Okay.
We do a lot of these like retro bars for guys that you see online nowadays, like, you know, Al's Rapid Transit, like a lot of V bars,
Mm-hmm.
Cook bars with like the crossbar that's, you know, bent down on both sides.
Yeah.
Geez, even like Nowhere bars.
Yeah.
Some of those crazy bars, like,
We've sold a handful of those.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we're pretty good at making bars for people, but frames, yeah, I don't remember who the first one was. That's a great question. Can't even remember. I
Yeah.
would say probably that Specialized for TJ
Yeah.
might be the first one we ever made. But as far as production runs, geez, maybe T1.
Yeah. With the barcode.
Yeah, we did T1. We did metal. We did quite a few different brands. I don't know if we did FBM. I don't think we did FBM frames. I know we did
Yeah.
FBM bars, but
Yeah. There's another
yeah.
Widowmaker.
Yeah, I saw those pictures of the guys showing D. Schneider, the Widowmaker, the other day. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And then you've got the Eastern bikes. Is that titanium?
Yeah.
It's got the hole in the seat tube and
I
the
bet it
head
rides like a
tube.
noodle.
Yeah, titanium. What I remember, because I rode some when I tested for the magazine, I remember it being really flexy.
Yeah. We rode some titanium forks for the race team and it felt like a noodle.
But it's super light,
Yeah.
right? Oh, wow. And that's got bearings in it, too.
Yeah.
And this thing, feel this thing.
I know.
It's feather light.
Yeah. And apparently that's Dave Muir that signed these Thai bars.
Really?
Yeah. I guess the kid had them on his bike and I don't know why they asked him to
Yeah.
sign those or not, but yeah, this is crazy.
I kind of remember Eastern bikes. Like when I think of Eastern bikes, I think of the 25.9 on the complete bike.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Were they one of the first ones
They
that
were
did
like
it?
the first
Yeah.
company that did the 25.9 on the
On a
complete
complete.
bike, which meant that you had to do the cassette hub because you couldn't do a freewheel.
Yep.
And then but the cassette hubs were terrible. They were like half loose ball, half sealed. Remember this?
Yeah.
And then they would all
Yep.
blow up,
Yep.
and everybody was like trying to come up with
A
like
good
a cassette that you could put a 9 on that didn't cost $1 million.
Yeah.
I remember that being like Eastern's thing, but man, this is awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I can stay in here all night. You guys want to order dinner? We'll just hang out here.
Thanks for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get it in there.
Sick. Oh, definitely.
Now that I know what you got going on over here, I might, on occasion send you some additional stuff.
Okay.
I do get cool stuff. Sometimes I'm not gonna sell it. You know, like
Yeah.
that attic sprocket. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do with an attic sprocket. And there's a few little S&M things you need in there. You need the core thrash guard.
Yeah. I'll find one somewhere.
It's the first one. It's the first
Yeah.
bolt-on, and you don't really have like any of those.
I don't really have
80s bash guard frames.
No.
When the Haro GT bash guard wars were going on, you don't
Yeah.
have those.
Nope. I have probably the closest thing I have one is a Wilkerson airline.
Yeah.
That would be that same area that you would bolt the bash guard on, but yeah, I don't have any bash guard bikes. Yeah.
Well, thanks for showing me around.
Yeah. Thank you. That was sick.
Dude.
That was perfect. Was it worth the wait?
Yeah, I love it. Like I said, I'd be here all night.
Yeah.
Every single one of those bikes got a story.
Yeah.